Have you ever wondered what drives Gen Z, the generation that's reshaping the world around us? The ones who seem to be constantly online, always scrolling, yet also fighting for real-world change. The ones who have a unique way of looking at mental health, relationships, work, and even identity. They're constantly labeled as tech-obsessed, lazy, or entitled. But the truth is, there's so much more going on underneath the surface. What if I told you that the way they think, the way they view their lives, and the way they navigate the world is deeply rooted in their experiences, both online and offline? Let's dive into the psychology of Gen Z and explore how they are redefining modern life, relationships, and their place in the world. Gen Z is the first generation that has grown up with technology in the most integrated way possible. While other generations saw technology evolve, Gen Z was born into it. From the moment they opened their eyes, smartphones, social media, and the internet became an essential part of their reality. The difference is that this isn't just something they use, it's part of their identity. Unlike older generations who remember a time before the digital age, Gen Z doesn't have that divide. They've only known a world that's heavily mediated by digital technology. Let's start with something obvious. Gen Z is the first generation to grow up entirely immersed in digital technology. They were born with smartphones in hand and social media as a part of their everyday lives. The internet isn't just a tool, it's their reality. From TikTok trends to Instagram filters, their identity is often shaped by the online world. But this constant exposure has had both positive and negative effects on their psychology. On the positive side, Gen Z has unparalleled access to information and opportunities. They're more informed, more aware of global issues, and more connected than any previous generation. This has fostered a sense of global empathy and social consciousness. They're not just aware of their own issues, they're fighting for causes like climate change, mental health awareness, and social justice on a global scale. However, this constant connectivity comes at a cost. Gen Z faces an unprecedented level of stress, much of which stems from their relationship with social media. The pressure to present a perfect life online can lead to anxiety, depression, and feelings of inadequacy. The comparison trap is real, and it's easy for Gen Z to feel that they're not living up to the highlight reels they see on their feeds. Speaking of mental health, Gen Z is the first generation to openly talk about it. They've broken the stigma surrounding mental health that previous generations couldn't even begin to address. They're more likely to seek therapy, talk openly about their struggles, and demand better mental health support from schools, workplaces, and society as a whole. But while they are more open, they're also more vulnerable. The pressures of growing up in a fast-paced, hyper-connected world have led to skyrocketing rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout among Gen Z. This generation is also dealing with higher levels of loneliness, despite being more connected than ever before. Many feel like they're juggling multiple identities online and offline, which can be mentally exhausting. Interestingly, Gen Z is also more resilient than previous generations. They've had to deal with major societal shifts, economic recessions, a global pandemic, political unrest, and more. Instead of retreating, they found new ways to cope, often turning to creative outlets, activism, or simply finding supportive online communities where they can express their thoughts and feelings without judgment. Now let's talk about one of the most pressing questions about Gen Z, their approach to work. Unlike millennials, who were often told that success comes from hustling hard, working long hours, and climbing the corporate ladder, Gen Z is much more focused on work-life balance. They want meaningful work that aligns with their values and gives them the freedom to live their lives fully outside of their jobs. For Gen Z, the concept of job loyalty is quickly becoming obsolete. They value flexibility, remote work options, and personal fulfillment over traditional notions of success. They're more likely to freelance, start their own businesses, or choose non-traditional career paths that allow them to pursue their passions without sacrificing their mental health. This shift in work values has been heavily influenced by the gig economy, the rise of online entrepreneurship, and the impact of the pandemic. Gen Z doesn't want to simply work to live. They want to live to work, but on their own terms. This generation is embracing the idea that their careers should fit into their lives, not the other way around.
Gen Z is also the most diverse generation in history. They're growing up in a world where diversity and inclusion are not just buzzwords, but core values that shape their perspectives. They don't see the world in the same rigid binary terms that previous generations did. Instead, they view identity as something fluid, multidimensional, and individual. Gen Z is more accepting of differences in race, gender, and sexual orientation. They're more likely to identify as LGBTQ+, or question traditional gender roles. This openness to diverse identities has created a generation that is more empathetic, more inclusive, and more accepting of those who are different from themselves. However, this acceptance also comes with its own set of challenges. Gen Z is navigating a complex world where identity is in constant flux. They're forced to contend with societal expectations, family pressures, and online commentary while trying to carve out their authentic selves. The struggle for identity can be exhausting, but it's also one of the most defining features of this generation's psychology.
Gen Z's worldview is deeply intertwined with the constant technological advancements around them. Technology isn't just a tool, it's their entire existence. From the moment they wake up, they are immersed in their phones, checking notifications, engaging in social media trends, and staying connected. The digital world is their reality, and this shapes not only their identities but also their psychology. Social media has changed how they interact, but it has also created a new sense of pressure. The constant need to maintain a perfect image online can lead to mental exhaustion. It's as if every post is being evaluated and every action is dissected. But this doesn't just stop at social media.
However, despite these challenges, Gen Z has developed an impressive level of resilience. Despite the overwhelming circumstances of political instability, economic pressures, and even global crises like the pandemic, they remain optimistic and determined. They've adapted to change better than any other generation, and they're learning to find solace in things like creative expression, activism, and supporting each other in online communities that encourage emotional honesty. One thing that stands out when talking about Gen Z and work is their unique approach to career and success. Unlike older generations that emphasized long hours and climbing the corporate ladder, Gen Z values work-life balance and flexibility. They don't just want a job, they want meaningful work that aligns with their personal values and passions. Their desire to make a real difference often outweighs the traditional work hard, get promoted mindset. It's no longer about working just to survive. It's about creating a life that reflects their authentic selves.
So, what does the future hold for Gen Z? They are shaping the world in ways that we've never seen before. From their entrepreneurial spirit to their activism, they're driving change and challenging traditional norms. But they're also struggling with the weight of the world on their shoulders. Gen Z's psychology is one of resilience, vulnerability, and authenticity. They are the first generation to truly confront mental health struggles and advocate for change. They want a better, more inclusive world, and they're willing to fight for it. But they also need to be supported. As much as Gen Z strives for independence, they also need guidance and care. They're still learning to balance the pressures of the modern world with the need for emotional health. And as a society, we need to give them the tools they need to thrive. If you found this deep dive into Gen Z's psychology helpful and insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more content on understanding the complexities of human behavior and psychology. We'll be exploring more topics on emotional growth, mental health, and the future of different generations.
Join us on this journey toward a deeper understanding of the world around us. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos.